Hey guys, Baroness here. The background footage you're going to watch is two different matches that I played with a four-man group. The first one, we're going to be the reagents. The second one is going to be as imposters. I want to talk about the state of the game a little bit, specifically the invasion mode side of things. I could talk a little bit, I guess, about the baseline game. I don't see a reason why I can't. Base game is in a very fantastic place. I'm very happy with everything going on in the game. I know that there are some minor issues that people have had here and there with different things, such as like, hey, I don't necessarily like X, Y, and Z, or whatever different little aspect that some people don't like. And I'm not gonna sit here and try and, you know, pinpoint every single one of those and say why I disagree. I think that the game is in a relatively perfect state. The devs have done really, really good work. The few bugs that I have ever encountered usually get fixed relatively fast, and if they aren't getting fixed relatively fast, then that's not that important of bugs to create any problems. Usually the bugs that I've seen, like there was one bug I saw where certain prime assets weren't affected by the stun rig if it was at a certain range away from them. It was slightly different than every other X-Pop. So for whatever reason, prime assets were immune at like, you know, if you were, I don't remember the exact ranges, but let's say like the stun rig affects a 2 meter radius. Then if the prime asset was at like 1.9 meters rather than 2 meters, or like rather than being at the range of 2 meters, then they were immune. But if they were inside 1.8, then they could be hit. It was just really weird, just like minor little things. And that's fine. That's gonna happen in the game. You're gonna get random little bugs like that, so it never bothered me. It's like, oh, okay, so I just have to make sure that the prime asset's like well within the radius. Fantastic. I can do that. But I just wanted to bring that up because I know there's some people who think that the game is super buggy. And I'm going to be honest, I have not encountered many of those bugs. I've encountered a few of them invasion-wise, but those bugs are usually like, hey, I'm literally right on top of them. Like, not like inside of the character, but like I'm on top of the reagent, and I'm slicing, or doing like the little slash attack, and I'm doing no damage. I don't know if there was a desync or what was going on, but, you know, it's not anything that makes it that I can't play. It just makes it like, hey, this is mildly annoying, but I move on and try again. That's all you can really do, really. I'm excited for the new Prime asset. I know everybody's like, but you haven't done enough with the Crest twins. Like, why are you switching to a new Prime asset? I can understand on the understanding of how game development works. The Crest twins requires two voice actors to come in every single time they want to do any changes or additions to the game. So dealing with that, it is a lot more difficult to get two voice actors to come in than it is to get one voice actor to come in to do a bunch of lines. And this is not me trying to say that Red Barrels is trying to take the easy route out. It's not about that. But whenever you're dealing with any form of having to schedule voice actors and go through all of that, it takes time and effort and can be a pain in the butt. So I'm not a person who's going to hold it against them. I think that them switching to a different prime asset is just because they're going to go to a different prime asset for a little bit. Maybe they had both of these prime assets, the Crest twins and whoever the new one is, already ready, and they were just like, hey, we're going to do the Crest twins first. You know, we think that that's the next map we should do, and then during the wintertime we'll do this other map, whatever the other map is. Maybe we're going into the middle of a Russian town in the winter, and like, so they were waiting until the Winter Kills event to bring out the winter prime asset. You know, something along those lines. I don't know what exactly it would be, but you get my point. So we'll see what that looks like. I'm excited for bringing back Winter Kills. I hope they make a few changes to it, not because I don't like Cold Snap, but I would like to see something different with the Cold Snap variator. I would like to see like a variation of it, you know, something that could be like Cold Snap 1. Like like Cold Snap and Cold Snap 2, or some other version of it that makes the Cold Snap variator harder, and not just limited hiding spots. Um, Something like that. Anyways, moving on. We need to talk about the invasion mode. Now, obviously, I mostly play solo. I have played in groups of 4, as you literally can see in the video right here, but I have also played in a duo, and I have played in that duo against a solo, duo, and a quad. I've also solo played against a trio. This was early on, though, when I played against the trio. It was before they did the buff where downing a survivor into the bleed out stage did not kick you out of the trial. It was before that. So this was back when you had 20 seconds to escape after downing somebody. And it was all I did was just jump in, jump out, repeatedly down somebody over and over and over again. It was a hilarious fun, because when you play solo, since you don't have anybody else to spawn in for position 2, you just get to infinitely spawn. You leave and you just spawn in. Because while you are spawned in, the timer's ticking down for the other spot to have somebody available to come in for that. So you just get to come in over and over and over again and apply so much pressure as a solo imposter. It was fantastic, and I loved it. I highly recommend for anybody to, if they're able to play solo versus a 3-man, do it. It's hilarious. It is not overpowered because, again, they have 3 people to be able to deal with you. And if they're doing their job right, then it's not going to be that difficult. But you're not as heavily punished for having low health when you leave as when you play solo versus a solo or a duo. So that's something to keep in mind. What else is there to really talk about? There's 2 major problems that I see, and obviously these are imposter-sided. I know that the reagents have a couple of gripes. I think the biggest gripe that the reagents have is that it feels like the imposters don't have any weak points when it comes to trying to hide from them. The imposters can just basically sniff you out. And I don't mean like the AI imposters that just grab you out of lockers literally just because you jumped into a locker in front of them. No, I mean like just in general, the imposter players, when you're in the PvP setting, if they just walk up to a hiding spot, they can just poke their head around and see if your head is sticking out. And that can be annoying, especially if you're trying to play a stealthy build. You kind of get fucked because they can just spot you, and that's annoying. I do think that there's a pain point on the other side of that, which is that, hiding spots, when you're jumping into and out of a hiding spot, you have this long period of invulnerability where you cannot be damaged or grabbed out of it. So you basically have to wait until they're fully in the locker to grab them out, or you have to wait till they're fully out of the locker to be able to hit them. It's kind of stupid. It does mean that while they're getting out, you can start preparing a stab, and you might be able to get the stab off to be able to go for the instant kill. But when they're going in, you try and slash when you can literally see their entire physical form and you can't hit them. And then they get into the hiding spot, now you have to deal with throwing them out of the hiding spot. It's really kind of weird. I understand why it works that way. It's in regards to how it works in the PvE game. It's just for the PvP side of it, it's kind of a little bit funky. So that's one of the pain points that I know that the reagents have. There's a couple of other pain points, but usually those pain points come down to reagents not carrying defensive items and reagents trying to play the PvP as if it was PvE. And unfortunately, you can't do that. You have to play the PvE as if it was PvE, and the PvP as if it was PvP. You have to have that distinction. So the 2 pain points that I have for imposter side is the locker combo and the OTK combo. So to kind of explain, we need to back up as to why there was the buff and then the nerf to imposters in regards to if you put a reagent into the bleed out stage. The buff, which removed them having, which removed the effect of they have to leave if they put somebody into the bleed out, and then the eventual nerf where they had to leave if they put somebody into the bleed out, but they got 5 additional seconds, so it's now 30 seconds with the upgrade. So the question is, why do they have to make those changes? Well, they made the change initially because for the imposters, it felt like we didn't get to make any progress. You would put somebody into the bleed out stage, you have so little time to be able to defend it that you basically got no value out of it. You would leave, and the reagent buddy, if you were playing against a duo, which most people were, would just go and pick them up. Which means that your entire progress was just removed instantly because of that. So you gained no value out of putting somebody into the bleed out stage over and over again. So they changed it. But then it led to a very kind of toxic gameplay style where you do that and then you just kind of camp their body. So the entire time that they're bleeding out, you're just sticking around waiting until the other reagent shows up and keeping them from being able to revive them. And you do that for the entire duration of your time left in the trial until the person bleeds out and dies, and then you just leave. And that's not fun for anybody. And so they changed it, so now it's risky. This kind of fits into the same category of problem as the locker combo, which makes it that then if you have multiple reagents, you all go into a hiding spot right next to each other. If an imposter pulls one of you out, you jump out and you kick the imposter, which will deal a full bracket of damage and stop the person from being killed. But you can also, along with that, you can also then just do it again and again, and there's never a time where you have to stop, because the imposter will have to stop because they'll just die if they do it again. So the imposter has nothing that they can do to react to it. Better yet, if you throw a brick at them when they do that, you can kill them. You can be able to do 2 brackets of damage, so they only get to do it twice before they're dead. It's even worse. Yeah, it's very dumb. It's not as dumb as the OTK. The OTK requires a jammer rig, a stun rig, and 2 bricks. Some people try and do it with bottles. If you do it with bottles, you need like a ton of bottles. You can't do it with just 2 bottles. It takes like 6 bottles or something like that. So it's not worth it. Use the bottles as a defensive tool. Use the bricks as an offensive tool if you're going to do this OTK. And the combo goes brick, stun rig, jammer rig while they're recovering from the stun of the stun rig. They get 1.5 seconds of being able to try and survive. They vomit, you throw the brick after they finish the vomit, and they're dead. Instantaneous OTK combo, so to speak, with 0 agency on the imposter side. Again, this is the only issue, is that the imposter has 0 agency during this. They can't do anything because they're stunned into stun, into stagger from the jammer rig, into vomiting from the jammer rig, into another stun that's death. There's 0 counterplay. You just die. And that doesn't feel good for anybody. That feels terrible as a reagent, because you're like, okay, let's just do the combo real quickly, kill them off. Okay, great, we get to have a minute 50 without an imposter, which is enough time for the rigs in general to get off cooldown, mostly. And then we'll get the rigs back up and we'll do it again. We'll just keep doing this over and over again. It doesn't even take that long. So it's kind of annoying, it's kind of boring on the reagent side. And then on the imposter side, you have 0 agency. So like, what are you supposed to do? You just die. So anybody who's doing that, you basically just have to accept that you're going to end out with a D grade, maybe. Maybe you get a C grade if you happen to, like, hit them 3 times before you die. You know, it's kind of mind-numbing. The only thing you can do is wait to attack them until you're right next to an elevator, so that then while you're in the 1.5 seconds before vomiting, you can jump into the elevator and skip 2 brackets of damage. That's really it. That's your whole counterplay to that situation. It's really not that good. So yeah, those are the 2 pain points that I've got. Now, there are some easy ways that they can solve this, but this is probably a problem that they're going to have to workshop a lot of different ideas. My idea is to give the imposter a call button that they can be able to do You can only do it once per time that you are summoned, and if there's multiple imposters, then it kind of has a order. So, like, if one person calls it, then it goes on a temporary cooldown for the others until it's finished, and then they can do the same thing, but it kind of rotates through. But basically, what happens is if they jump into the lockers, or they are, like you're about to run into the pair of them, you can activate this button, and it will summon an X-Pop or of some variety to the area. It might just bring somebody who's already on the map, who's nearby, to that area, like force them to come over there, or it might summon somebody through the elevator if it's a need that they need to get somebody. Whichever way it would work, it would bring them over, and they would focus on whatever you told them. So if you pinpointed a location that had a reagent, they're going to go right to that location expecting a fight. So they're going to be alert already. If you point at a locker, then they're going to go and open that locker. You don't have to necessarily point to the correct side. You just have to point to, like, if like it's a locker with 2 doors and you know that the reagent is in there, you just point to it and they're going to go to the correct door every time. But what it does is it allows you to have a situation where the other person is no longer in a situation where they can just freely get a kick on you. They're going to get grabbed. And they might have evasive maneuvers and be able to get out of the grab, but then you're now wasting their evasive maneuvers, and there's an X-Pop in the area who is now going to be hunting these reagents at the same time that you are. So now they need to run. They can no longer stay in that area, so the locker combo goes away. I think, truthfully, if they wanted to, like, the easiest thing that they should do is work to get rid of the OTK combo. And I think for that one, the easiest thing to do is to just give a stun immunity. So what they did before was that you can no longer be stunned by the same item. So you can't be brick into brick into brick into brick. And it was the way the immunity worked was that you were stun immune and then you were CC immune. Or not CC, stun immune, and then damage reduced. So that then 2 bricks back to back, instead of doing 2 brackets of health, would deal 1.5 brackets. 2 bottles, instead of dealing 1 bracket, would deal like 3/4 of a bracket. You get the idea. And I think something similar to that is the direction they should go with this. But I think they kind of need to ramp it up a bit more than just where it currently is at. So I think the way I would handle it is that it's total CC immunity after a hard CC of some form. So if you just got hit with the stun rig, then you are CC immune from door staggering, from other rigs, from all of it. You are completely immune. You're not damage immune, but you are immune to the CC. Now, the only rig that would be included in regards to being damage immune as well is the jammer rig. You would not be able to be... you could be infected technically, and your character would quote-unquote throw up, but if they're still within that CC immune period when the vomiting would go off, nothing happens. Their character just kind of stomachs it. So this would make it so that then you can't do an OTK combo on them, and instead you need to try and chip them down little by little. I know that means it's going to make it really hard to kill imposters, and to be fair, this is the hot take on my end of this. I don't think killing imposters should be something you can do. I'm not saying that imposters shouldn't have a consequence, but one of the problems that occurs commonly, this happens to me in some of my recordings, and I don't put this part into the compilations because it's not that it looks bad upon me. I don't care about how it looks towards me, but I've never put it into one of the compilations because it usually never happens around it. Just randomly getting swung on by X-Pop. Like, you're not even walking on top of them or in their vicinity, and they just charge at you for no reason. And so then now you're trying to dodge them. You're not getting to catch up to the reagents, the reagents, by the way, have defensive capabilities to react to the X-Pop targeting them. You don't. I can't all of a sudden throw a stun rig or, do anything like that. I'm bound by the fact that the only thing that I have is my knife. And what that means is that I don't get to have the kind of... I get screwed by the X-Pop around me. Now, that's like way more than the reagents do. Now, obviously, I get scored a lot easier than the reagents do. If I hit reagents enough times, their grades drop from being a potential A+ down to an A-, and I will get a B+ just for injuring them. I don't even have to get downs. The grading scale for the imposters is really, really lenient. And that's both okay, but also bad. Like, I would much rather have the grading scale be much more, it's like much less lenient, but have a couple less vulnerabilities to the trial itself. I'm glad I'm not affected by traps unless they trigger the trap. Although I do think that them being able to trigger a sanity trap, and that is like the sanity blast mine, and then that deals an entire bracket of damage to you, that's kind of stupid. I'm sorry, but that's really dumb. That is not, to me, that is not a healthy thing in the game. Again, like I said, a lot of this stuff that they have to workshop, because I'm not there looking at the numbers, seeing how other people are affected by it. I only see my own personal view of how the game is affected by the way the reagents and the invaders work. And that's okay. Like, I can admit to that fact, that for me it's a different experience. And I hope that the developers are looking at all the experiences together and making fixes. I mean, again, for me, I was rarely ever affected by the issue where if I put a reagent into the bleed out, that there would be that camping situation. Because for me, I would just immediately go after chasing the other reagent, and usually that other reagent would run. It's like I would get them to run to the other side of the map, and I would just kind of like keep them away. But even beyond that, I was very good about always chasing next to other X-Pop who could do the execute. So there was always, I would be going into an area, I would down somebody right next to Mother Gooseberry. I would chase the other person while let Mother Gooseberry do the execute, or the other way around. Mother Gooseberry would go after that other person, and then I would get the execute. It was all I was always able to get the execute off. Like, the execute was always happening. Now I get it, they're trying to add more tension to it, which makes it a lot harder. And there's times where obviously I can't get the execute now, and that's fine. Because again, overall, gameplay-wise, it's healthier for the game, and I know that. And I'm not going to sit here and try and, no, I don't want that. It's healthier for the game. I will admit to it being healthier and take it and run with it. Anyways, I think that's going to be pretty much it in regards to the conversation points about Outlast Trials. I'm still excited for it. I'm excited to see the new updates coming out soon. I'm going to try and get more videos out since I record a lot of matches. I'll see if I can get another video out of like compilation during the week rather than just always on the weekends. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in another video. I do have some videos not about Outlast Trials that I'm going to have come out here relatively soon. Hope you guys enjoy.
Doctor, I'm trying hard enough. Watch this in your head. Just over. can fucking...